Hello, everyone, and welcome to the video on GCF, or Greatest Common Factor. This is something that we were supposed to study back when we did adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with decimals, but we didn't have enough time due to the constraints of COVID. And so I'm really excited that you all are going to be able to see what GCF is and how it can help us to solve different problems. So to begin with, let's talk about what GCF means. Greatest means the biggest of something. Common means something that's shared among two different or multiple things or numbers. Factor. A factor is a maker. The word factor literally means the maker of something. And so it comes from the Latin. So if I look at these numbers, 36 and 45, when it says factors of 36 and 45, what it's asking us to do is not create a ratio table, which it's going to look kind of like in a moment, but actually a factor table, a table of all the numbers, small numbers, that build up to or make 36 and 45. Let's start with 45. It doesn't have quite as many factors. So for 45, I'm going to start with the very first factor, which is 1. Everything can be made up by multiplying by 1. And then I think about how many ones it's going to take me to get to 45. Well, if I count by ones, it's going to take 45 of them. So I'm going to put 1 times 45. I want you to see this not as a ratio. This is a multiplication problem. And the multiplication problem is that the row multiplies to the top number. Now let's try another row. After 1, I would try 2. But I know that if I count by 2s, I'm not going to see 45 in the list. I'm going to see 44 and then 46. So I'm not going to try 2 here. I'll just in my mind write it off and cross it out. So let's try 3. If I count by 3s to get to 45, it will work. 3 times 10 is 30. And then if another 15 will get me to 45. So that was 10. How many 3s make 15? 5. So 5 and 10 makes 15. If I count by 3 15 times, or I multiply 3 times 15, I get 45. While I was going through that work in my head, you might have thought that was really confusing. I don't know how I'm supposed to do that on my own. Just divide. I know that 3 works, so I would just divide 45 by 3. Or I could look at a multiplication chart and look through my 3s until I get to 45. And see how many it took. 15. All right, now I'm going to try the next number, 4. Well, if 2 doesn't work, then 4 won't work. So I'm going to skip 4. So I'll try 5. Oh yeah, 5 will work. It ends in a 5. If something ends in a 5, then that means that 5 made it. So 5 times something gives me 45. If you count by 5s, you should end up with 9 of them. So 5 times 9. Then I would keep going. 6 doesn't make 45, it makes 42. 7 doesn't make 45, it also makes 42. 8 can't make it because 2 and 4 didn't make it, and 2 and 4 both build up to 8. And then 9 would be the next one, but I see that there's already a 9. And so I'm done with my table for this one. What I've basically done is gone through all the numbers, starting at 1 and counting down until I end up getting a number that's already on the other side. Any numbers that don't work don't show up in the table. Any numbers that do work, I figure out how many it's going to take. Let's try it with 36 now. So starting with 1, 1 times 36 will give me 36. 2. 2 times 10 will give me 20. I have 16 left. So 2 going into 16, 8 times. So that's 10 and 8, that's 18. 2 times 18 will give me 36. All right, let's try the next one, 3. 3 times 10 is 30. And then I see 6, so that's 2 more 3s. So 12 altogether, 3 times 12. All right, next number, 4. 4 times 9 will give me 36. 5. Well, if I multiply by a 5, I'm either going to end up with a 5 or a 0 at the end. Because 5, 10, 15, 20, all of those either end with 5 or 0. So 5's not going to work. 5 is crossed off the list. Let's try 6. Yeah, 6 times 6. Oh, and I see a repeat. So as soon as I see a repeat, I'm done with the table. And so then I know that these are all the numbers that can multiply to 36, not including like decimals or anything. We're just dealing with whole numbers. That's what factors are, the whole numbers that multiply to a number. So now what we're going to do is look for common. So I'm going to look for what both of the tables share. So I see that they both have a 1. So I'll put the circles around the ones. I see that they both have a 3. And I see that they both have a 9. So we're circling what are called the common or shared factors, the things that make both of the numbers. So they're in both lists. And finally, we're looking for the greatest common factor. So of those 3 numbers that I circled, 1, 3, and 9, the biggest of those is 9, which means that 9 is the biggest number that 36 and 45 share as a factor. So I'm going to put 9 as my answer. All right, so I would encourage you to try out the next one on your own, just kind of mentally go through what numbers you can think of. And then I'm going to quickly go through what the answer is. So I'm going to pause the video for a moment. And when I unpause the video, the answers will be there. So you might want to pause now. All right, so I only put half the numbers and I'm going to show the other half now. So factors of 20 include 1 times something, 2 times 10, and 4 times something. 1 times 20 will give me 20. 2 times 10 will give me 20. And 4 times 5 will also give me 20. Now I'm going to try 30. 1 times 30 will work. 2 times 15 will work. 3 times 10 will work. 4 does not work. 5 times 6 will work. And the next number would have been a 6, which is what we already have on the other side. And so we don't keep going with the list. Now that I've created the list, I'm going to look for the common factors. So they both have a 1, they both have a 2. They both have a 5. And they both have a 10. If it's hard for you to find the common ones, I would recommend just look for anything they share, move those circles first, then look for anything that hasn't been circled. And I would go one at a time through one of the lists and just look over on the other list to see if it shows up, because that could be a good way to make sure you didn't miss any of them. So I see that 1, 2, 5, and 10 are all circled, both sides. So the greatest of those is 10. And that's what we call the greatest common factor, or GCF, so 10. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope this will support your work on Unit 6, Lesson 6. If you have any questions or need any further examples or support, please reach out. Thank you.